The new graph shows the precession cycles at 26,000 years. The diagram shows the eccentricities during the Ice Age. It is maximum at the 104,000 years ago Ice Age period, with eccentricity equals 0.0415 and dropping. The mastodon bones found could 130,000 years old, as there was a warm period at 130,000 years ago. Besides, the scientists estimated the bones to be around 150,000 to 100,000 years ago. There was a warm period 130 to 140,000 years ago during the Ice Age. Eccentricity was about 0.03689, so the perihelion was approximately 89.5 million miles from the Sun. Aphelion was about 96.36 miles. The Earth was near 3.4 million miles closer to the Sun in summer and about 3.5 million miles farther away from the Sun in winter. Mastodons died in grounds around a lake which may experienced earthquakes that produced liquefaction of the soil. Their bones were found in Colorado, estimated around 150 to 100,000 years old. There was a green Sahara, with the Middle East and the Mediterranean regions also green for about 5,000 years. The Sahara and the Middle East would be dry for the next 20,000 years. At the end, the Earth cooled down to an ice age at 104,000 years ago. There was a mass back migration to the Sahara of all animals and humans and/or dominants. This was the Stone Age. There was migration north to Europe and Siberia. Hunting was good in the north in summer, and they either lived in caves as a group or built tents with mammoth and mastodon tusks and skins. For winter they moved back south. Around 104 and 110,000 years ago there was an ice age, as both tilt cycle and precession cycle were closed and in the cool period. Eccentricity was about 0.0515. The perihelion was near 89.1 million miles, while aphelion was about 96.8 million miles. In summer, the Earth was shorter but closer to the Sun by about 3.8 million miles, while in the longer winter it was about 3.9 million miles farther away. There was an ice age. At the same time there was the Green Sahara, and the Middle East and the Mediterranean region were green, so there was a back migration of humans or dominants back to Africa from the cold north. Some may have gone east along the Indian Ocean shoreline towards Asia, Sundaland, and then to Australia. Around 104 and 110,000 years ago there was an ice age, as both tilt cycle and precession cycle were closed and in the cool period. Eccentricity was about 0.041445. The perihelion was near 89.1 million miles while aphelion was about 96.8 million miles. In summer the Earth was shorter but closer to the Sun by about 3.8 million miles while in the longer winter it was about 3.9 million miles farther away. There was an ice age. At the same time there was the Green Sahara and the Middle East and the Mediterranean region were green, so there was a back migration of humans or hominins back to Africa from the cold north. Some may have gone east along the Indian Ocean shoreline towards Asia, Sundaland and then to Australia. 90.5 thousand years ago both the tilt and precession cycles coincided, so a possible ice melt occurred. The sea level may have risen. Eccentricity was about 0.03557, so the perihelion was approximately 89.6 million miles while the aphelion was around 96.2 million miles away from the Sun. In summer, which was shorter, the Earth was about 3.2 million miles closer to the Sun and the longer winter about 3.4 million miles farther away. There was a Green Sahara as well as a Green Middle East and the Mediterranean regions. With the Ice Age there would have been a migration to the greener Middle East and Sahara. There were seasonal migrations in winter to the green areas. In summer those close to the edge went hunting in the north as the ice melt in the spring, creating favorable hunting grounds. Some may have moved eastward along the Indian Ocean shoreline towards Asia to the Sundaland. From Iran, Indus Valley some may have gone north towards Central Asia and Siberia. From India some may have moved north up through passes to the Pamir Mountains and to Central Asia. From Burma some may have entered the Tibetan Plateau and others to southern China. Others still from the Sundaland ventured to Australia. This was still the Stone Age. For 70 to 78,000 years ago an ice age may have occurred as both the tilt cycle and the precession cycle were quite close together. The eccentricity was about 0.02845, so the perihelion was around 89.1 million miles and the aphelion about 95.6 million miles. In summer the Earth was around 3.81 million miles closer to the Sun, but in the long winter it was about 2.68 farther away. The supervolcano Toba in the Sundaland erupted around 75,000 years ago, so it could have made the Ice Age even worse. The volcanic ash swept westward and covered the entire subcontinent of India. The Hindu Kush Mountains may have blocked most of the ash from the rest of the world. There was a mass extinction in India. all living humans and many animals in India would have choked to death from the fine volcanic dust. Stone tools had been found under the volcanic ash in India, but no human remains from. There was a green Sahara 70,000 years ago, so there was a back migration towards the green areas of Sahara and the Middle East. Five 52,000 years ago, the tilt cycle and precession cycle were at opposite sides, so there was a mixed climate. The tilt cycle was in the warm period while precession cycle was in the cool period. Eccentricity was about 0.01498, so the perihelion was approximately 91.5 million miles while the aphelion was about 94.3 million miles. In the short summer, the Earth was around 1.38 million miles closer to the Sun, but in the long winter about 1.4 million miles farther away. The orbit was almost circular. There was a green Sahara, so there was a back migration to the green areas. 26,000 years ago, both the tilt cycle and the precession cycle were close together in the cool period. There was an ice age, and it was called the LGM, or last glacial maximum. Eccentricity was approximately 0.01667, so the perihelion was around 91.5 million miles and the aphelion about 94.4 million miles, almost the same as now. In summer, the Earth was about 1.4 million miles closer to the Sun, and in winter about 1.6 million miles farther away. The orbit was almost circular. The green Sahara produced a back migration from the cold to the green areas. The sea level began to rise as the Earth was heading towards a warming period. Seven 8.5 thousand years ago there was a warming period as both the tilt cycle and precession cycle seemed to meet. Eccentricity was about 0.01939, so the perihelion was about 91.1 million miles and the aphelion about 94.7 million miles. In summer, the Earth was about 1.78 million miles closer to the Sun, while in winter it was about 1.82 million miles farther away. The Dryas event occurred about 12.9 thousand years ago. The massive melting of the ice filled the Arctic Ocean with fresh water, and in winter it froze as fresh water freezing point was higher than salt water. The fast filling of the Mediterranean Sea led to the Black Sea deluge. The Black Sea was the remnant of the Tethys Ocean and had become an inland freshwater lake. The seasonal ice melt during the Ice Age provided the water. There was a green Sahara, but it was warm in Siberia in summer, so there might have been migration to Central Asia from Iran, India and China.